Hello everyone, my name is Josh, and this is the Skype for Business recap. Once again, had another week where I wasn't able to get the recap out at the normal time. Had a bit of a extended family emergency over the last couple weeks, and so my presence on these recap episodes has been sketchy at best. However, things are normalizing, and I'm getting back into the regular flow of things here. So getting stabilized, getting my workflows out, getting caught up on work, and getting caught up on the recap. So while this is a very late episode, it is going to be covering all the stuff leading up to November 25th from November 19th approximately. That's the week we're aiming at in this episode. Even though I'm recording it on December 1st, and we'll have another episode tomorrow on December 2nd. So, just one of those interesting byproducts of life getting thrown out of sorts for a bit. The previous week, there wasn't as much content as I was hoping for, but what there was a lot of Mac-related content, and a few other things that I'm going to touch on. This past week, there's actually quite a bit of stuff happening, so I'm looking forward to diving into that in the next episode. For now, let's not waste any more time. Let's jump over to our Infinity screen, all right, and bring up our content here in the browser. Okay, so first thing we've got here, Skype for Business on Mac. We already have CU1. Okay, this was released. What was the exact date that it was released, actually? Maybe if we click on the actual download, it'll show us here. See, we're looking at Guy Bakar's Guy UC World blog here, and he had a very succinct post with all the changes, links to all the other pertinent articles, release notes, etc. And so let's first go over to the download page that he's linked to here. And this will let us know, hopefully. So their announcement was on the 22nd, and I believe that it was released right around that date. So it's been out a few days now, about a week or so, little over a week, and that was really fast. I mean, for having released the Mac client at the very end of October, and then before the end of November, already having CU1. That was quick, and that, I think, demonstrates a serious commitment on the part of the dev team and charged with the Mac client that they are making this a priority on the Skype for Business product team there. They want us to feel and know that Mac is not going to fall by the wayside again. Lessons have been learned, and they are doing their best to keep on top of this and provide the most up-to-date and fluid and non-error prone experience. So kudos on that. First, we see Guy has given us the link to the release blog post there. Here's another link to the readiness update. Okay, that's our actual. If we hover over that, we see that's on the tech community there, a blog post about it. Features and added improvements. Here's a few other links he gives, and then he goes through some of the things himself. So one of the big deals to me here is the ability to manage contact groups. And as he calls out, for both Skype for Business online and on-prem, users can now add and remove contact groups and enterprise distribution groups to their contact list. That is a big deal. That's always been a big ask, the ability to granularly manage groups and contacts in Skype for Business or Link clients, and having that in the new Mac client is of the utmost importance. So glad to see that in there. You can now tag specific contacts for their status change alerts. All right. Messaging. They have an improved sender experience in the case when a recipient is unable to respond to incoming messages. Okay, that just seems buggy, so they obviously have addressed that. And then fixed chat notification issues. Apparently there were some problems with the client making an assumption that a message was already read, and so it didn't have that little notification in their client showing them they have unread messages. That is fixed. Under meetings, there are numerous fixes and reliability improvements for a more stable experience. Well, that's good stuff. And then under general, we've got calendar syncing issues are fixed. meaning now that when you start up, meetings can be retrieved correctly when you start up the client. Sign-in bug fixes. Some account types were not able to sign in. Not sure what the details are on that, but good to know. Contact group management features for Office 365 and Skype for Business Server 2015 customers. Content tagging, and these are things that we already kind of went over in the above section here. So again, Guy had a very succinct but to the point and with all the pertinent details post on this. Thank you for putting that together, Guy. I now want to jump over to Martin Bohm's coverage of this, and I've covered a few blog posts of Martin's recently because he has been on these new announcements really well and put together some very good and thorough posts on them. And so on Martin's blog post here, he covers CU1, and of course he goes over the same things that Guy did. His is a lot more conversational, a lot more dialogue to it, a lot more detail here. Okay, so he goes over each of these features in a kind of broken down, tabled format here. Full list of known issues, CU1 known issues highlights. So there's still some stuff that there are known issues for. Where to get the update, client version number. We're on 16.1.0.456. Even covers things like, do I need to update my Skype for Business server or link servers? Okay, and he addresses those topics. I'm scrolling through each of these areas and not diving into the meat of them because this is a lengthier post, and I want to share the post, make you aware that it's there, and have you dive deeper if this is something that you're running an environment with a lot of Mac users, or you're a Mac user yourself and you're interested. You need to dive deeper into this blog post. It is very well put together. As we get further down here, he gives a bunch of screenshots of actually going through the process and what that looks like. Okay, a lot. There's a lot here. So you shouldn't get lost in the process. You should have a very handheld approach to how do I go about updating, what are all the caveats, what are the benefits, etc. Martin, great job on this post. Thank you for putting it together. I'm going to include the link to both of these posts with the other content on the YouTube video description of this this show episode you're watching now. So, all right. Next up, some more Mac iOS stuff. Okay, the Skype for Business iOS client with Apple Callkit, hands-on. So this is a post by Tom Arbuthnot. He is an Office Servers and Services MVP, Skype for Business focus. Tom is very active with new announcements and what's being put out there. And so now we're shifting gears from the desktop, laptop client over to the iOS client for mobile devices. The client, as he points out here, now includes this Apple Callkit. Okay, and he starts out very cleanly addressing what is Apple Callkit. He gives 3 bulleted points here, okay? Aside from him saying it's the Apple framework that lets VoIP apps integrate tightly with the native phone UI, okay, that's the official, but here we go. Incoming calls are displayed fully on a locked screen, like a regular call. Users can choose to use your app when making calls from the native phone app's contacts, favorites, and recents. Callkit lets your app coexist seamlessly with other active calls. That's what Apple Callkit is, okay? And then he gives a link to the very technical demo that Apple has provided right here for Callkit. As he points out up top, this was first demoed at Ignite, and that was really cool to see there. And now Microsoft has added Apple Callkit to Skype for Business iOS client 6.10. So if you're not on 6.10, upgrade to 6.10 and you'll get that Callkit. Then Tom does us a favor and goes through several screenshots here of what the new abilities are and what they look like for an iPhone user. First point, he says, the new abilities. Calls appear to answer like normal mobile calls, both on the lock screen and when the phone is unlocked. Well, that's really cool. It's less confusion. It doesn't make you feel like you're having to mess with multiple apps. It makes you feel like you're just getting a call. Straight to the point. I love that. While you are on a Skype for Business call, incoming mobile calls are handled nicely with an end, hold, or send to voicemail screen. That is awesome. And then calls missed and received end up in the main iPhone call list, and clicking them calls via Skype for Business. So what he's saying there is that when you look on your call history on an iPhone, you have all your previous calls and missed calls, etc. Your Skype for Business calls are now going to show up in that list as just another call, though they will be called out as being a Skype for Business call. If you were to click on that to call back, it's going to call using Skype for Business. That seamless integration into your call log just makes things so much simpler and easier to manage for an iPhone user. I love this. This is great. So again, Tom goes through, shows what this looks like with various screenshots. Here's where we have another call coming in, and you have all your options: end and accept, send to voicemail, hold and accept. And then as we go down here, we're looking at what we just discussed. He's got the call history here, or call log. We've got a Skype for Business audio call mixed in with his regular call, another Skype for Business audio call. Right there, slipstreamed into all the regular other calls. And then, let's see, there was one other thing I wanted to call out here. Yeah, and he calls it a bonus feature. For those with an iPhone with 3D Touch, okay, 6S and 7, a press on the app icon allows the immediate launch of Meet Now and Dial Pad, though some seem to not get the Dial Pad. I guess he may not have seen the Dial Pad, and some people here have sent him screenshots for it. But as you can see, pressing on the Skype for Business icon on your main screen brings up a little mini menu before going into the client itself, and lets you have a quick access option there of either your Dial Pad or Meet Now. That is slick. This is kind of making me wish I had an iPhone at the moment. I'm not a Mac fan. I have an Android phone. But this is pretty cool, and so yeah, as I think about upgrading in the future, I may have to go down that road. So, and then he points out, for those without enterprise voice and cloud PBX, there is no dial pad, so you got your Meet Now there. Great post by Tom, as always. Thank you for sharing, Tom. Good little walkthrough. Time to update your iOS clients if you haven't done so. Next up, the UC Architects. They are playing a little bit of catch-up, I think. The episode 61 seems like it was not too far off. And then on November 24th, they published episode 62. You have got to be kidding. A little bit of pun fun right there. All right, so as you can see, we've got a number of topics that were discussed during this episode. They did this on the 20th. Blog post put up on the 24th. They discussed Outlook Anywhere is deprecated for Office 365. Had more Exchange topics than usual this time, and a little bit less Link and Skype for Business topics. So a little bit more of an actual UC feel rather than a lot of emphasis on Link and Skype for Business. There is still a large number of Skype for Business posts here, though. Anything from the new Skype UI to a few different blog posts on helpful tips, etc. So very good episode. And then at the end out here, they touched on about 5 different events that are coming up. So very good stuff, very good information to have. These guys are always informative and fun to listen to, and really good information. So if you're looking for something to just kind of put your headphones on and plug away at code or whatever you're doing for the day, and you just want something to listen to while you're doing that, this is a good place to get started. As usual, the host, Pat Richard, and then the co-hosts that were joining him, Tom Arbuthnot and John Cook. And the editor, as always, Mr. Andrew Price. So, yeah, you can download the episode. You can listen straight from here. As I mentioned before, I will include the link to this blog post in my YouTube video description, and you can decide how you want to listen to it from there. Good job, guys. Last but not least, we have updating the Trio 8800 firmware. Jeff Schertz's blog post from December 28th, 2015. As you can tell, this is not a new blog post, so why am I talking about it? There is a new firmware update, new firmware version, and Jeff has been updating this blog post as new versions come out, so this post got updated on the 15th. And then the post got updated a little after the 15th, but the firmware revision that he called out was from November 15th. And the releases include hotfixes and the following enhancements. We have a new Skype for Business themed user interface. So that's a big one right there. Microsoft is putting a lot of effort into a uniform experience across all Skype for Business clients and devices. And Polycom has done a great job of getting updated to reflect those changes. And you see this in the Skype meeting rooms, Skype room systems across Polycom, Logitech, and Crestron. All the Microsoft clients are starting to get a little more uniform and have the same look and feel. And so now we've got a new Skype for Business themed user interface for the trios. New USB optimized mode for Skype for Business tethering scenarios. All right. Multiple video stream support and new screen layouts for video and content viewing. And then last, various improvements in calendaring, contact search, and conferencing management. So the Trio has received a very helpful firmware revision. I would recommend that you guys start looking into that and update if you are ready to. This blog post would be a good place to start on how to go about updating them. Jeff does a great job with screenshots, step-by-step instructions, etc. as usual. He's very, very thorough and detailed in his posts. So this is a good place to start if you're ready to get your trios updated to the latest firmware from November. All right, let's jump back over to my regular screen out of the Infinity screen. I wanted to get back in front of the camera. Wanted to get this post out, even though I'll be doing another video tomorrow. Twitter was starting to swirl with some questions about whether I was even still alive. I assure you I am. I am here. And Twitter was, and there was also another follow-up question about, much like the Force, my presence was seen. I think Flinchbot, Michael Tressler, put that out there. So before anyone else speculates that perhaps, like in Kung Fu Panda, I have disappeared over a cliff's edge into a bunch of floral petals floating into the air like Master... Oh, I forget. My kids like Kung Fu Panda, and that's how I knew about that scene. But anyway, before I have any other speculations about what has happened to me, I am here. I am getting normalized, even in the midst of holidays, and we will be getting content out a little more regularly, getting a cadence back as we expect it to be. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. I hope that we'll see you back here tomorrow or whenever it's convenient for you to watch during the upcoming week. I hope that you guys have had a safe Thanksgiving weekend last weekend, that you enjoyed the time with family and friends. And as we're prepping for Christmas and New Year and all that stuff coming up, I want everybody to just be safe, enjoy the holidays, enjoy time with family. And, we'll see you guys in a couple days. Adios.